the real estate of two very important big countries, US and India. And one of the questions lots of people ask me that, especially in marketing and people who are starting the new project, how to market or how to take the projects, your real estate asset, to the NRIs, because everybody want to reach foreign market, right? So in first session we saw that now real estate developers are building outside India, but still 99% developers who are developing in India, they want to sell their projects to the NRIs. And especially you want to become a developer, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, understanding how to reach to NRI is one of the most important part of real estate right now. And let me tell you, all the best companies in India, and especially all the world real estate companies, they have good chunk of NRIs who invest into their companies or invest into their properties. So today's session is on how to market real estate to NRIs. And today's esteemed guest is Dr. Dheeraj Dogra. He is MRIS, and he is into global retail and retail analysis. He has a great experience, which I'm going to share with you. So on behalf of Institute of Real Estate and Finance, our students and guests, we like to welcome Dr. Dheeraj Dogra sir. Dheeraj sir is an Indian American retail and real estate veteran. So he has worked in US for long, with over 27-year experience in managing successful global retail chains like Mackey, Bloomingdale's, Bed and Bath, and beyond. He's also held a leadership role with developers like DLF, Ansal, Omax, Siri Infra, and Express Avenue. Dheeraj is also associated with BNP Paribas Real Estate as the National Director of Retail and Shopping Center Advisory Services of India. He's a graduate from Emeritus, MIT, Columbia, and Tufts, and as a Global Ivory Scholar, and has a master's certification in CRM from the City University of New York. So he has a very enriched experience. I can proudly say that he will be one of the top 100 minds in real estate in India who has that kind of experience. And so I don't want to take the much time. Want to hand over the session to the Dheeraj sir, and it is our privilege to handle it, to ask him to join on this Guru Talk platform, and we are very honored that he accepted this proposal. Now I like to share this control back to the Dheeraj sir so that he can take out the journey, and you can ask question once the session is finished, or you can put the question in the question box, and when the session will finish, we'll try to have a question answer session. Okay, right? So let's transfer the session again back to Dheeraj sir. Sir, I'm sharing the control back to you.
Okay.
Just hold on, sir. Just hold on. Give me 1 minute. I have not shared your presentation. Just give me 1 minute. Just I take it back. Just take it. Give me back. Sorry guys, there is some small change. I've not shared the presentation. Yeah. So now I'm going to share this to sir. Yes, sir. You can take it now. Yeah, sir.
I think it's loading. It's not loaded yet.
Yeah. Can you see this now?
No, I don't know why it's not loaded. I mean, it's still it's still not loaded yet. The slides are not loaded.
Okay, just we'll wait for 1-2 minutes more. No problem.
Okay.
So if you anytime face any problem, you can refresh the browser so that you can able to restart again. Restart means just refresh it if you face any problem. Yeah.
All right. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And, my name is Dheeraj Dogra, and your sir was extremely, uh, I'd say, benevolent, and in talking about my background and all that. And it was, thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. And I think use some. I don't know if I'm worthy of the words he used, but anyway, okay. So today, what we're trying to do here is trying to understand, because I mean, all of you are interested in real estate. So we want to understand a chunk of real estate sales which is related to the NRI segment. Uh, okay. Now, um, I'll go with the next slide and give you an idea as to how the entire um, presentation is going to take place. There we go. Okay, so the first is, well, I call it the method to the madness, as in the steps that I am going to go over. From one step one, which is why would the NRIs invest? Okay, so the second is why should we cater to them, and which comes actually from why would they invest? So we should cater to them. And then if we have to cater to them, then how do we do it? And the last, but not the least, is the cost benefit analysis, as in, is it worth spending time and money on NRI clients, or is it, or is it better to do that for local Indians who live in India? So that's like the stages I have tried to go by. Okay. So, why would the NRIs invest? So, I'm going to take that up first. So, what I would ask all of you is, for a second, in your own mind, just think of a reason. Why would an NRI invest in Indian real estate? Just keep it to your mind. I mean, just keep it to yourself. But I want you to think for 5 seconds. Okay, just think. Why would an NRI invest in Indian real estate? Here it goes. Five, four, three, two, one. Done. Okay. Now keep it in your heart and see if the answers come out correct, or it resonate to what you were thinking. Okay, here are the answers. Advantage NRI. One is economic reasons. And I'll go over each one of these separately. But how I've said in economic reasons is more bang for the buck, which is a very American English and American expression, which means uh, for little money you get more advantage. Even for a small amount of money you can get a lot more advantage, more bang for your buck, which means एक एक रुपए में आप ज्यादा कुछ खरीद सकते हो. So that's what I'm trying to say here is more bang for your buck. Then the second is stabilization in prices. The third is reduced red tape. Fourth is increased transparency. And the last but not the least is shrinking employment visa in the West. So these are the reasons which I have pointed out in terms of why Indians, NRIs, would like to invest in India. So when I explain the first one, the more bang for the buck, when I give you the answer, you'll automatically understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, there you go. We go to the next slide. Okay, there you go. Okay, so bang for the buck में आप देखें the depreciated rupee vis-a-vis a dollar represents that जो $1, which was let's say about 10 years ago was 50 rupees, today it's 78 rupees or 77 rupees. So for the same dollar, you can buy more of rupees. Okay, so your spending capacity in Indian terms has gone up quite a bit. So somebody who wanted to, let's say, invest 100,000 US dollars 10 years ago, he could buy a property worth 50 lakhs. Today, he can buy a property worth 76 lakhs. Okay, so that is how, because the dollar has gotten stronger, and more it gets stronger, the more beneficial it is for the NRIs. Okay, uh, I've just touched upon that there's a tax benefits also for NRIs investing in India, which I'll go over in the next couple of slides. But the main part is that if you see the seesaw there, रुपया और डॉलर के बीच में रुपया नीचे है और डॉलर ऊपर है, और जिस तरह, I mean, if you look at the world the way it's going, I think it's going to stay like that for a very long time. America being a strong, very strong economy. Okay. Now, in this graph, I have given a slight idea as to what was the rate of a dollar in 1975 to now, which is 2020. So it was about 9 or 10 rupees, okay, for a dollar. Today, and slowly it went up to, if you notice, to in 80s or 90s, it went to 20, and slowly to 80. By 2000s, it had touched on 50. And slowly, if you look at the graph, slowly working on, today it has gone up to very close to 80. It's about 76, 77 rupees. Now, what to understand and from this graph is um, what normally Indians would say, okay, the value of money has gone up. I mean, the value of the money has not gone up. The fact is that inflation in India, inflation, which means with rising prices. So what you could buy in 10 rupees in 1975, you need to spend uh, 77, 78 rupees to get the same merchandise. Okay, जो 10 रुपए में मिलता था वो अब 76-77 रुपए में मिलता है. So now compare it to the dollar. आज की डेट में, if you look at it, you would not see, I don't even know how many of you, you're young in your generation, have actually seen 1 paisa or 2 paisa or 5 paisa or 10 paisa or 25 paisa or 50. The most you would probably, I think, would have seen in your age is 1 rupee coins. Okay, but you have to understand the 1 rupee coin, it's a denomination of 100 paisa leads to 1 rupee. Now, how I'm explaining this to vis-a-vis the dollar. $1 is 100 cents. Okay, 1975 maybe $1 because there were 100 cents. Even today, the cents, that is 1 cent or 2 cents, 5 cents, is used in America, which means the dollar still has value. Maybe it has gone up a few times, which means what you could buy in $1 today, you might have to spend $3. But at the same time, it is not inflated the way it is done in India. Okay, so आज भी अगर वहाँ आप गैसोलीन और गैस या पेट्रोल लेने जाते हैं तो वहाँ गैलन में मिलता है. गैलन इज 5 लीटर्स यूएस के अंदर. तो वो अगर वो $3.10 का है, तो आपने अगर 1 गैलन लेना है तो आपको $3.10 देने पड़ेंगे. ठीक है जी. तो इसका मतलब 10 सेंट की वैल्यू है, क्योंकि अभी भी पेनी चल रहा है. ठीक है. So that just kind of explains why the dollar is strong. So the NRIs are always in the best spot. I mean, they're always in the strength. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is what I meant. More bang for your buck. उतने ही रुपए में आपको ज्यादा मिल रहा है। तो उनके उतने पैसे के अंदर भी उनको क्योंकि डॉलर जो 10 रुपए का था आज 77 रुपीज का है, इसलिए दे गेट मोर फॉर दैट डॉलर। गो टू द नेक्स्ट वन। Okay, so now I'm talking about the stabilization of prices, which has happened in the last couple of years, because I'd say, I'd say about 7, 8, 10 years ago, the prices had gone berserk. मतलब बिल्कुल जो कि they were not in as far as the market was concerned, they were not sync. They were not in sync to the market, which means कि प्राइसेस ज़्यादा थे, उतने होने नहीं चाहिए थे। उसका रीज़न ये था, आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू दिस राइट नाउ, बट आई विल गिव यू अ स्लाइट आइडिया। उसका रीज़न ये था कि मार्केट वाज डोमिनेटेड बाय व्हाट दे कॉल पंटर्स। पंटर एज इन जो जुआ खेलते हैं, मतलब एज इन उन दिनों में हो क्या रहा था कि एक प्रोजेक्ट अनाउंस हुआ और उसको 3,000 रुपया पर स्क्वायर फुट के हिसाब से हुआ प्री लॉन्च, लॉन्च से पहले, और 15 दिनों के अंदर, कभी कभी उससे भी पहले 10 दिनों के अंदर वो 3,000 से 3,200 हो गया। तो 200 रुपया प्रॉफिट per square feet within the first 10 days. So everybody was playing, basically, you had all investors playing it like a lottery. So उसमें real users नहीं थे, there were more investors. जो एंड यूजर है उसको वो अफोर्ड ही नहीं कर पाता था, तो सिर्फ इन्वेस्टर्स ही खरीद रहे थे। तो उसकी स्टेबलाइजेशन मार्केट की वो जरूरत थी, तो अब वो स्टेबलाइज हो गया, विच मीन्स द मार्केट प्राइसेस हैव गॉन डाउन। इफ यू नोटिस, इफ यू सी दिस चार्ट व्हिच आई हैव शोन, यू विल सी माइनस, slowly per quarter they're going -2%, minus, so slowly the prices have come down because end user cannot buy at the prices which the developers were quoting. And any, for that matter, any business is, if it does not have the pulse of the end user, जो आखिर में जो उपभोक्ता है, जो आखिर में उसको यूज करने वाला है, अगर उसका उस पर ध्यान नहीं होता, तो वो एंड में वो बिल्कुल लूज ही करेगा, क्योंकि एंड यूजर ही चीज को फाइनली, उसने तो यूज, इन्वेस्टर ने तो करना नहीं, वो एक ही घर में रह सकता है ना, 10 घर में इन्वेस्ट करके 10 घर में तो नहीं रह सकता, उसको फाइनली तो उसको बेचना ही है। लेकिन बेचने के लिए जिस रेट में वो बेचना चाहेगा उतने में यू डोंट हैव एंड यूजर हु कैन अफोर्ड इट। Just to give you a slight idea, the median income, okay, median income, I'm just going to give you for for a city of Gurgaon, okay, is about 50 to 60,000 rupees a month. Okay, so that's a medium income, which is uh, average income, what I'm saying. So even if I take it on the higher side, which is 60,000 a month, this is a household income, mind you. Now 60,000, you multiply that by 12, that 77 lakh 20,000. 12 5 is 672. Okay, so 7 lakh 20,000 is what they make yearly. Okay, this is in Gurgaon. Okay, there are towns, small towns in Bihar or in UP or in Bengal or anywhere, even in Haryana, in smaller towns, where the median income would be as low as 30,000 और 25,000। ओके, छोटे टाउन्स के अंदर। तो उसी हिसाब से अगर आपकी इनकम ऐसी है, तो बैंक आपको जो लोन देता है, दैट गिव्स इट बेस्ड ऑन योर इनकम। So the middle class, so as middle class could not afford it, so the prices had to come down, and so now the prices have slowly come down over the past couple of years, 2 3 years, I'd say. If you ask me personally, my good guess is not a good guess, but I'd say the average is there's still more correction, which is I would say about 15 to 20% more correction, which should be there in the market. When I may say correction means, if something is selling for 10,000 rupees a square feet right now, it needs to go down 15 to 20%, which means it should be 8,500 or 8,000 rupees a square feet to make it affordable. So it's still a little on a higher side, but they are coming down. So it's becoming affordable. Okay. So and that's what I've shown in the slide. So for NRIs also, आज से 10 साल पहले उनको महंगा लग रहा था, अभी उनको now they also see that the prices have gone down. Okay, now our favorite leader right there, Mr. Excellency, Mr. Modi, right there, the Prime Minister of India. So one great thing he's done is also that he has tried his best to reduce the red tape. Okay, a lot of people, a lot of you guys would know, or in case you don't, Mr. Modi has a huge NRI fan following. Okay, and he across the globe. As a matter of fact, the fan following, NRI fan following, is probably even higher than the fan following he has in India, and that you must have seen in various road shows that he has done in America or or Dubai or London or wherever. तो उसको बहुत उनको बहुत पसंद करते हैं, तो और उनको सपोर्ट करते हैं financially as well. So as a party, so that is why he keeps their NRIs is as a top priority. So he's tried to reduce the red tape. Okay, जो फालतू के rules हैं उनको कम करने के लिए वो उन्होंने बहुत कोशिश की. Go to the next one. Okay, now for an NRI, the idea is कि okay, I buy the property, maybe I'll never come back, maybe I'll never live there, maybe I'll never come back to India. So how do I gain out of that property? So in other words, आज वो अगर 50 लाख की उन्होंने प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी और another 8 years 10 years वो 70 लाख की हो जाती है, तो how is he able to take that money back? Okay, that's his worry. That's a worry of an NRI, especially now, because a lot of NRIs whose kids were born there, who are second generation or third generation now, most probably their kids would never come back. So the idea is, in case they also end up spending the rest of their lives in foreign countries, they at some point they might want to sell the property. So will they get enough profit out of it, and will they be able to take that money back? So the government of India has now and RBI has allowed USD 1 million in a financial year, which can be taken out. Okay, and obviously you do have to pay, any property gain tax in terms of whatever profit you've made. So the percentage you have to pay in taxes, but the rest, the original, you can take back with up to 1 million, which is a large amount per year, like in 1 year. Okay, so that's a great feature. I'll go to the next one. The next is RERA. Now, RERA, which came into existence in 2016, was a much needed requirement in Indian real estate environment, I would say. उसका रीज़न था कि बहुत लोगों ने both Indians and NRIs had invested so much money, but the products, whatever they had ordered, they were supposed to get them in, let's say, a project in 36 months, which was a normal thing, 36 months or 3 years. Not a single developer, and mind you, I'm saying this, I'm going to repeat it one more time. Not a single developer until 2015, including the best big whatever, was able to deliver the product the building or the housing or whatever they had invested in the exact duration which they had first promised. जो उन्होंने इनिशियल एग्रीमेंट में जो साइन किया था कि हम 36 महीने में 36 months we'll be able to do it. Not one of them, and I'm talking even the biggest, whether it's a DLF or a Lodha or a Raheja or Tata or whosoever, okay, for whatever reason. I don't want to get into reasons here because RERA is a separate topic and I can go over that. I'll need another hour to get into that. So RERA, although there were laws in India, but law without so-called नो टीथ, उसमें कोई दांत नहीं थे, वो बड़े ब्रॉड लॉज थे जो कि बने हुए थे, बट नथिंग स्पेसिफिक. Also the fact the penalties were not very specific penalties on developers. So RERA was a huge, I'd say a good factor, feel good factor for both Indian as well as NRI audiences, because the government set up these committees, which are set up state-wise. Every state has their own, although their basic ground rules the same, which are controlled by the center. But each state has some leverage on their own, RERA, respective RERAs as well, based on that, how that state is run and who's running it. But there has been some watchdog, so as to say, एक उस पर तवज्जो जो है वो हो रही है. उसको ये नहीं है कि कोई भी कुछ भी कर सकता है. तो RERA has definitely added to the secure feeling for Indians and of course NRIs, because NRIs, that's what they felt. उनको सबसे ज़्यादा ये लगता था कि यार ये इंडिया में होता क्या है, यहाँ पे पैसे लगा दो, उसके बाद हम बाहर रहते हैं एंड विल बी स्टक विद आवर मनी, जो मिलेगा ही नहीं हमें वापस, या हमें धक्के खाने पड़ेंगे, एंड दे आर लिविंग ओवरसीज एंड हाउ आर दे गोना get it back, that and their money is hard earned. Okay, and I say hard earned means blood and sweat, ब्लैक मनी नहीं है जैसे कि हमारे देश में बहुत बिजनेसमैन वगैरह के पास हो जाता है. तो उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत करके वहाँ पे पैसे बनाए हैं, तो वो दे वांट टू मेक श्योर दैट दे डोंट लूज इट. So RERA is a good step in that direction. I think more can be done, but RERA is a good step. I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so this is just about the is required, and which is a lack of transparency, no proper information, lack of remedial for the buyers. So it's a confidence booster, basically. Okay, so it adds to the for the audience or for the so as to say for the customers, it adds value that now at least they think कि यार मेरा पैसा बर्बाद नहीं होएगा, ये इसका लीवे है कुछ, और डेवलपर्स भी थोड़ा डर के काम करेंगे क्योंकि उसमें एस्क्रो बहुत एलिमेंट्स है RERA के अंदर, which is a separate topic which I can cover at a different time. And I'll go to the next slide. Okay, now the last slide here, it is telling us about shrinking employment visa in the West. So a lot of people who are not their permanent residents, I mean, you're talking about a lot of these techies and a lot of people who've gone there to study and they started after their education, they took up jobs over there. So they don't have permanent, what they call, let's say for America, green card or US citizenships. So अभी वहाँ पे with the current जो situation है, the president of America, Donald Trump, has already very recently announced that he is going to reduce more visas which are granted, H1 visas which were granted to the Indian techies. So आस्ता आस्ता वो होगा कि because he is looking at his home audience, because if they are jobless, he says it's a very political thing कि उनको वोट लूज होंगे, कि भाई बाहर के लोगों को नौकरी दे रहे हो, हमारे यहाँ घर के लोगों को नौकरी नहीं. So, which is in his if you look at from his point of view, it is correct. But anyway, so when these NRIs, so as to say, not NRIs but H1 who were permanent residents or had H1 visas, will slowly have to come back. So when they come back, they'll have to buy property. So that is another reason that NRIs are important and is going to keep happening. Okay, I'll go to the next one. Okay, so I have given all the reasons for why NRIs would like to buy property. The economic reasons I've given. They have given the feel-good factor, the new laws, less bureaucracy, RERA. All of those reasons I've given. But there's one reason, one single reason, which drives NRIs to buy property in India. Okay, now I'll give you 3 seconds, and I want you to think of that reason. So here it goes. Think of that reason. Why? One single reason why Indian living overseas want to buy property in India. So it is starts here. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Here is the reason. फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी. So if you notice, regardless of where Indians live across the globe, they feel for India. They still eat Indian food. They watch Indian movies. They, still their best friends are still Indians, even if they live overseas all their lives. And I can tell you that by experience myself, the fact that I'm a proud Indian American. के तो इंडियंस का जो अपने कल्चर से जो उनका वो है ना, तो मैं अगर इंडियन अमेरिकन हूँ, अगर मैं वेजिटेरियन था मतलब बाय बर्थ, मैं यूएस जाके भी वेजिटेरियन रहा हूँ. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग माय एग्जांपल. So we are so closely knitted or closely attached to our roots. So that is one reason that NRIs would always feel connected. Plus, they also have relatives, they have friends who still live here, and they want to come and visit. You know, and the emotional ties are there. So for that reason, NRIs, and at the end of the day, they want a home. They don't want to come and stay only in hotels. So इसीलिए वो invest करते रहेंगे. Okay, go to the next slide. Now, why invest in international marketing? Now, I'm speaking on behalf of a developer or a channel partner. भाई क्यों हम खर्चा करें NRIs के ऊपर? क्या इतना वैल्यू है उनका? क्या मतलब इतने पैसे लगाते हैं वो क्या? So I'm just giving you some figures. Okay. Just for your information, amongst the expat, amongst the diaspora across the globe. When I say diaspora, means people who have moved from their country and living in another country. For example, let's say Chinese people who living in America, or Thai people living in Canada, और सो जो लोग जिनको उनको डायस्पोरा कहते हैं, और सब डायस्पोरा जो है वो अपने घर वापस पैसे भेजता है, विच मीन्स जो बेसिकली चाइनीज है और रहे अमेरिका में रहा है, लेकिन वो फिर भी घर पैसे भेजता है. तो उस तरह की जितनी कम्युनिटीज हैं अक्रॉस द ग्लोब, पूरी दुनिया में हर जगह से लोग हर जगह बसे हुए हैं और फिर घर पैसे भेजते हैं. डू यू नो दैट इंडियंस remittances to their home country, which is India, excuse me, is the highest in the world. Okay, it is the highest number value in the world. More the NRIs send more money than any other diaspora, any other a community from any other country. So now जो कि FDI जिसको लगे, the total FDI flow, this is a slightly older figure, was in 2017 was 43.47 USD billion. Okay. Uh, okay. That was the investment. When I say inflow in terms of FDI, foreign investment. In the same year, the NRI remittances, जो उन्होंने अपने घर भेजे लोगों ने, it was 62.74 billion. So that's the amount of money they sent. And guess what? If you go to the next thing, you see 40% of the remittances were towards investing in real estate. So whether they themselves came and bought it, or they send money to their brothers and sisters or loved ones to buy for them or for the relatives. So that kind of tells you that's the amount of money that is involved for NRIs. Okay, I have maybe I've been a little biased because I'm right now in Gurgaon, and so I'm giving you figures of Delhi NCR, which is Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, this particular area, National Capital Region. Now, 30% of buyers in this region are NRIs. So it makes sense to give them, value. Okay, so international marketing should be done because they are worth that kind of money. Okay. Now, what should the channel partners do to attract the NRI clients? So you should be, if you channel partners, as in if you are working for a brokerage company, or let's say if you were to even working for a developer, if you are looking at NRIs as a client, what should you do? So you should be first aware of the laws, current laws that NRIs come under, uh, both the RBI rules and the Government of India uh, rules for investment by NRIs. Just to give you just to give you an example, NRIs or not NRIs but Indians of foreign origin, which means who carry a different passport, they are not allowed to invest, excuse me, in uh, in farmlands. They cannot buy agricultural land. Okay, that is prohibited by the law. Okay, so these are. I mean, I'm just giving you one example. There are rules, so you should know. You should be familiar with all of those. If you had to cater to NRIs, you should be also familiar with a lot of terminology which is used in both in the West in terms of real estate, and which NRIs are very familiar with because they've been buying and selling for real estate in the countries wherever they live. So the other thing would be to from start to finish, don't act if you're a channel partner or a developer, don't you should act more like what they say a relationship manager, which means take them from start to finish. Don't throw your or don't do that passing the parcel, which means throwing one customer from one to ये मेरा डिपार्टमेंट नहीं है, मैं तो मार्केटिंग में था, आपको सेल्स में जाना है. No, you have to understand these guys are sitting thousands of miles away. They cannot be, and there are time differences. There are, it's night there, it's morning here, so they are, and the fact that the kind of lives they live over there, they don't have the time and the patience to deal in nuisances that are part of everyday life that we have to deal with in India. So NRIs, they would like what they call relationship manager, means one person who takes them from the start of the journey to the end. Uh, then the other thing is to use digital marketing tools. Are very very important because it's important everywhere in the world now. But the fact that digital marketing tools are cheaper, they're much less in terms of money expensive. The other thing is you have to understand the NRIs also. They mortgages is a way of life for them, which means they like to take loans. So you have to make it a composite for them, which means they can. You have to get them bank deals as well, where you take the bankers as well with them and which offer them low interest rates, so that makes it easier for them to invest and keep it real. It means जो मैं यहाँ कहता हूँ जो इंडिया में हम लोग which I commonly use the statement that when we say yes, it's not always a yes. When we say no, it's not always a no. And when we say maybe, तो भगवान जाने हम कहाँ पे हैं. You know, I mean, we are never, we don't stick to our commitments, and that's just the way it is. हमारी हाँ जो है उसमें पक्की हाँ नहीं है. If we say yes, it doesn't mean. So this very important, the way NRIs are, how they operate, because of the fact that they live in the countries they live in. There is a lot of value given to verbal commitments or commitments per se. So I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so how do we do it, and what's the way forward? So we have to keep the demographics into perspective. As in, वहाँ पे आपने मार्केटिंग करनी है तो आप कैसे मार्केटिंग करोगे? तो आपको जो मार्केटिंग करनी है वो whether it is you have to understand where exactly are the Indians living in that part of the world, and what kind of Indians are there. So क्योंकि अगर आपको गुजरात में प्रॉपर्टी बेचनी है और आप कनाडा के ब्रैम्पटन में भी जाके बेचोगे जहाँ पे ज़्यादातर सरदार लोग रहते हैं या पंजाबी रहते हैं, तो वो गलत, तो आपकी वो मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी में गलती है. तो इसलिए you have to do your market research and understand the demographics before you go and do it. You can do it by direct marketing, road shows, and channel partner development, which I'm going to go over in the next slides. Okay. All right. So this is just a given. I've given you some idea about in terms of demographics in various countries, how many Indians they have. So U.S. has, you know, 28 lakhs. NRIs who are Americans of Indian heritage. So I've just kind of given uh, a slight idea, if you can see that, and I'm going to move to the next slide. So based on, like, if you notice that you see US has the most population of NRIs, then that's a country that you should be concentrating on. Similarly, UAE or UK, you know, wherever there are more Indians, so those are countries you should, should be concentrating on. Here I've gone from a macro to a micro. So in other words, even in the US, let's say for example, every state, I have given percentage of what's the percentage of Indians who live, and what's the total number of Indians who live there. So if you notice here, every state. So since California has the highest amount of Indians, you should concentrate on the state of California. Then comes New York, then comes New Jersey. So again, going by the numbers, so you have to go in a methodological way by doing your market research. So you cannot go just haphazard. Go to the next slide. Sorry, I think I'm running a little late here. So you can do two ways. Okay, either you can do that marketing sitting in India and appointing channel partners over there, or you can have a resident partner over there. It means you have an employee of the company. For example, a lot of companies like Loda or Tatas or Dahejas, Shobha, Puravankara have their own offices in Dubai and in Canada, in Singapore. So where they have their own people. Okay, so that's one way where you have your own staff selling the products. The other way is that you don't have full-time staff, but you keep traveling there. Okay, a lot of these things which are mentioned here on the slide are self-explanatory, and in the keeping the time constraint into this thing. We will share the presentation, and you can have a look at it, and if you have questions you can always get back to me. So these are the basic things. Then you have to also try and let's say if you find out we think in the US California was the last is now in California if a developer who's based in Bangalore, let's say Purvankara, if they want to sell property in Bangalore, so they should be looking at a population in California of Kannada speaking. Okay, although these days other people also, but there might be some Kannada associations based out of Karnataka association based out of California. So that's what I'm saying. So you have to go from macro to micro and so that you are able to reach the right audience. That's the most important part. Go to the next one. Okay, so and if you cannot have offices there, you can have road shows, generic or dedicated. Generic are where one organizer does a road show with 15 developers, put their little stalls there, and for 3 days it's advertised and all that. Or you can do your own, which means you can go from one city to the other and do uh, your own road shows. And the marketing collaterals and digital collaterals, all of that you have to plan way in advance. So the local diaspora or the NRI should know when you're coming. Okay, go to the next slide. These are the basic, ATL, which is NBTL activities that you can do on a road show, or above the line and below the line activities, which is pretty. I mean, they're pretty simple, and you once you see it, you'll see it as well. So making local in the local newspapers. Now, local newspaper means in papers which are published for Indians or NRIs. So using ads in them. Local radio stations, specific radio stations. They even have radio stations for specific language. So you can have a Gujarati radio station or a Punjabi radio station, whatever. So concentrating using all of these ATL BTL activities. Then using a channel partner, which means you go ahead and you figure out and you meet with various channel partners who are based out of these countries, and who become your base channel partner, and they in turn, let's say if they're based in New York, they in turn can again appoint smaller channel partners under them, and so which is what they call multiple listing systems, which I'm stating here. So this way, you're dealing with only one main person. So for US, you have one channel partner, and he can have so many other agents, but you will be only dealing with him. And any inventory that he or his associates or sell, if his associates sell, they'll be dealing with him. And for as a company, you'll be only dealing with one person. Make it life easier. Okay. Next one, personalized interaction using CRM tools. This is various tools that you can use. You can have loyalty programs, which means if the NRIs, if they go ahead and refer other NRIs, so they move from a base class to maybe a silver class or a gold class. The more they refer, the higher they can go to. And so these are the kind of and use software tools as well, where they can themselves log in and see their own accounts as to how much balance they have to pay. They can see the pictures of the actual construction, see if the construction is as per time frames which is going on. They can set up, if they're coming to India to set up, they can set up in advance site tours. So doing these CRM activities, which should be dedicated. I would suggest a CRM department for NRIs should be specific and only for NRIs. Okay, and it shouldn't, so that they don't run around. They don't have to go around, from one department to the other. I go to the next one. real quick. Okay, this is the cost analysis that very simply I've given. If you were to go take a stall for 3 days in a normal road show, it'll cost you a 9 meter stall is about 4 lakhs. If two people go, they're traveling and all that is about 4 lakhs, 2 lakhs incidental. So a total of 10 lakhs. And if you were to do 6 road shows, only about 60 lakhs. Now, if you compare it to the डोमेस्टिक एडवर्टाइजिंग, अगर आपको एक टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया नेशनल एडिशन के अंदर अगर आपको एक पेज का एड देना हो, इट कॉस्ट यू अबाउट 40 lakhs, एंड दैट वन डे is ad becomes a raddi for the next day. So similarly, and if you were to do 6 ads, so imagine you're putting in 2.4 crores. So the cost and benefit. So if you look at it, it is much more beneficial because you do the NRIs than domestic, because NRI is a very contained audience. You're not going in all directions. You're going with a very specific direction. So uh, I'm sorry, this is a duplicate slide, that seems. Okay, so I think that was the last slide, and thank you so much. And koi shak if,
So, sir, we'll ask people to.
I'm sorry, we got a little bit.
No. I think this is fine. We're perfectly fine. I think this was a very wonderful presentation. We have covered all the points, and so I like the audience to ask question.
Please.
Yeah. So if you guys are there, just say yes. I hope you are not sleeping because this session was really amazing. You guys are yes. You are there. Yeah. So everyone is there, sir. You can see that it is not that they went away anywhere. People are there. They are listening properly.
Okay. Can they hear me also when I'm talking right now?
Yeah, they can hear you. They can hear you. They can hear you.
So you have the Josh?
Yes.
Huh? Okay. I hope I didn't put you guys to sleep.
Yeah.
So
Great.
I tried my best to give you.
So, sir, I want to. I will start my one question with you, and then people will ask. So I ask everyone, whatever question you have about anything, since now sir has given the brief, you can ask him and I will take the questions. Sir, I want to ask one question is, do you think this NRI market is only for big developers? Like,
No, absolutely not.
yeah. So,
Absolutely
yeah.
not. Absolutely not. See, the cultural ties, like I was talking about, will stay with the city where you were born, or the town, or the village, or So maybe you are born in a village in, let's say, Gujarat, okay, but you might invest in a city in Gujarat, which will be Ahmedabad. You might not invest in the village. You might invest in the village also, but your roots are important. So very seldom it happens that a NRI who has never been to Mumbai would invest, and who's basically Delhiite, would invest in Mumbai. Okay, it does happen, but it does happen less because you're more comfortable with the environment, and because there is somebody, you have family who lives around that place, and so small developers, even in small cities, so people who NRIs who came from small towns. Gurgaon, I was born in Gurgaon, guys. Please understand, this city had a total population of 40,000 people. There were an exact number of 26 cars in Gurgaon.
Okay.
Today they make 2,600 cars. Make 2,600 cars every single day in Gurgaon. So it was a very small town, so but it's grown. So, but for me, this is where my roots are.
So you think small developers should also look for NRI?
100%, 100%, and they should. And based on the financial resources they have, they if they allocate money deftly and in a right way, they don't have to go crazy spending money. They will get better results with NRIs than
Okay,
a local.
local. So we
Yeah.
have one student, Rahul Salunke. He's asked, how freshers getting opportunity as sales representative, channel partners, or as a beginner in real estate and construction in foreign countries? What is the basic requirements if somebody like to work outside India with any with channel partners? Do you think it's an opportunity for them, or
Why not? I mean, listen, I mean, it uh, depends on the country that you are targeting. Okay. Uh, Now, most countries, unlike India, unfortunately, in India still we haven't gotten there. Now, although RERA has given us some structure, but most countries elsewhere in the world, you require a license to
yes?
practice real estate. Okay, so in other words, and those licenses are local, so it will have to be by the unless you go for something like I have done, which is a MRICS, which is a member of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, which is a London-based, which is in about 120 countries. Um, but other than that, all local, like if you go to UAE, you have to take a license of UAE. So you can, why not? But will it be easy? That it'll all depend on the person. But yeah, sure, why not? It's not rocket science.
So
Yeah,
basically, you're saying that you need to choose a country, then you
yeah.
think that what are the process policies there, and then
Yes.
most probably you put an application or you go there and then do
You
whatever
go
you.
there if you know people who already live there, your family or friends or whatever, and then you find out. Initially you might work. You might have to work as not a full time, or
Okay,
maybe
yes.
yeah. I mean, you might not get paid for the first 3 months. Maybe you're apprentice or whatever. As a learner, but to get your foot in, everybody has to go through that.
Great. So we have one more question. One question from Manoj. He's asking. I already talked to 4 5 NRIs. Their common question is related to financial analysis. They mainly ask, can you provide how much will be ROI in the project for 8 to 10 years? As your expert in, please share a financial analysis of a deal. Where I had to start. Means, like,
Okay. Well, that's a great question. Okay. Uh, See, financial analysis of any deal it can go by two things. One is from your past experiences, which means, let's say, in the last 10 years, the market being affected. Okay. Unfortunately, right now in India, for the past 10 years, the property market has gone down. That is because it was inflated and the correction was needed. Okay. Uh, but once it touches the level, which an average level where it should be, um, you can go year on year. You see, on based on the percentage, it's rising. So you have to go by the past history of that particular area, as like I showed you the history of the dollar versus rupee in
yes, yes.
175. So similarly, you have to research. 10 years ago, this property was worth this much, or 15 years ago, it was worth this much. Then it went to this much and this much. So by virtue of that, you can say an approximate idea that it would uh, be worth this much in 10 years from now. But then again, nobody can predict situations like the COVID we are going through now. Okay. So, in terms of financial analysis, you know, while the chartered accountants and company secretaries and the financial experts are all thinking and making that analysis, मजे की बात है, गॉड इज लाफिंग, वो हंस रहा है क्योंकि वो आगे क्या होना है वो उन्हीं को पता है. So you can make a good guess based on the previous history and how the economy is also. So it is also based on how the economy is progressing, which means the growth rate, the GDP of the economy. What is the prediction? So based on that, okay. So there are various agencies also. IMR. There's a lot of agencies who do a lot of research. So a lot of data, and you can also do it on your own. So that's how I think you do it.
Yeah, so basically, you're saying one is your history data,
Yeah,
and second is the economic growth, which you can share.
yeah,
Economic growth will be more,
yeah.
either micro,
Yeah,
yeah, either micro, like what is happening in the city
correct,
or what is happening in the state, so that
correct.
the person has a confidence that yes,
Well, yes,
I'm investing in.
exactly. I mean, there's no other way to do. I mean, you cannot predict how low the dollar is going to go, but you can only go by the history and forecast. Okay, based on the current situation.
Right,
So
right,
that's the only way. It's a good, but you have to remember one thing, and you can say that with complete confidence to any NRI, and I can, you can quote me on it. In India, nobody would lose money on real estate if they are a long-term
okay,
player. Simply because of the reason of the law of demand and supply. The land is only finite, okay? Whereas
yes,
the demand has gone up, okay? So if the demand keeps going up, whereas the land तो increase नहीं होने वाला, उतना जितना land है उतना ही रहेगा ना, तो उसकी कीमत बढ़ेगी ही बढ़ेगी. As long as you have the capacity to stay in the market. If you're looking at short-term gains, then I don't know, then things might change.
okay,
But
okay.
in the long
We
run,
have a one
you'll never lose money in India. You know, the
great, great.
the property, the population, which was our biggest setback 20 years ago in India, which was bringing us down, is today our biggest strength. So,
Yes,
so you have to understand that part of it, that now we are the biggest market. 20 or 25 years ago, when we were a socialist economy, we were, कि यार population कम कैसे करनी है?
right.
All the entire governments were focused on that. So today, that's why America is looking at us, or other Western countries are looking at. That is why China and India today are where they are, because they are big markets. And
Great. So
thank
Manoj, I hope
they have a
you
demand.
have gotten yes. So Manoj, you have gotten answer. I hope. Manish has asked question, sir. What type of people usually invest? Means NRIs. What I mean to ask, only residential unit or even for luxury project like bungalow, luxury flats. So means NRI, what kind of property they invest?
See, you have to find out what their need is. Okay, don't impose, don't pre-think, don't, you have to understand what their need is. If they say, you know what, we are never going to live there, we just are investing for a purpose of, capital gains, then then you have to ask them how much are they willing to invest. Okay. If somebody is willing to invest 50 lakhs, he's not going to get luxury. Okay. Not in, definitely not in metro cities. Okay. So it depends. So then you might have NRIs who are second generation, who now might want to settle back in their retirement years, might want to settle. So they might want to be living in their properties. So there they would want a property which is maybe a gated community with all the facilities. Okay, could be a luxury place as well, which is self-contained. So the idea is to ask as many questions as you can, and
Right. So
then
means
find out.
so basically asking more question will give you
Yeah,
the heads away that what kind of
exactly,
things they are looking for. Yeah.
exactly. The more you ask, the more you're able to filter the information, and based on that filtration, you decide, okay, यार, इसको ये होना चाहिए या ये होना चाहिए.
Abul has asked a question, sir. What is the exact for NRI if you choose a return of investment or sentiments if they are if they are investing? So like
Oh,
you
that's
said,
a very
that he's asking what. Yeah.
अगर दोनों चीजें मिल जाए तो और भी अच्छा हो जाएगा ना.
Okay.
So
Okay.
अगर if you are
So
able to
basically,
get both, a piece of both, so if you get, so everybody hopes, nobody wants to invest for losing money. Okay, so obviously they also have a personal connect and an emotional connect as well. So I think the best case scenario would be where somebody, it's the same thing like I just explained earlier. somebody who's never been to Bombay and never lived in Bombay, and he's basically let's say from Bangalore or maybe from Chennai or from Delhi. So if you're trying to sell him Bombay property, telling him this is price is going to go up and all that, तो उसका emotional जो quotient होगा वो कम हो जाएगा because उसका
Right.
connection कम. Okay, so वो I think you have to create win-wins. So थोड़ा सा उसका दिल का भी देखो. तो क्योंकि
So
just in case.
basically, you have to balance
Yeah.
between both of things. It will be best.
Yes, yes.
So we
And
have one.
also depends on how many investments he's done. I mean, if he's
Okay,
already
okay,
invested in his hometown, he's already has properties, then there is something else. Okay. So you have to look at that part of it.
great. Sir, we have one of our student from Africa, or
Okay.
especially North Africa. So he has asked that what is the best country to commercial real estate development? So he's asked this
North
question.
Africa would be which
Uh,
country is it?
no, North of Africa. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, Daniel. What is your country name? I just forgot. It is, I think, near Ethiopia, right? Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm an
So
African.
Daniel is.
Somebody has,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just reading it right now. Somebody has
yeah.
said here that I'm an African. Okay. Uh, Okay. Now, see, I, mm, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. So, so I wouldn't be able to, I can make it up if you want an answer, but I don't want to do that. So I cannot give you an exact picture in based on at the moment unless and until I research it to give you which is the best place to invest because some countries, if you are based in, let's say, South Africa, there could be some countries that you can invest in, and there could be others you cannot. So even if you are from South Africa, maybe you cannot. I don't know. Maybe you can or cannot invest in Tanzania or Nigeria or any of the other African countries. So it all depends on the local laws. But you have to, basically see is, I think you have to do your what they call homework. You have to do your research. You have to understand the market. You have to see what has been going on in the last few years. You have to see so many other things. You have to see the political stability. You have to, are they stable? Is that economy stable? I mean, is it going through, turmoil, or there is, the government is not there, or there is, you know, you have a army general ruling so I mean all of those things will affect the uh, the investment that you put in. So it'll be very difficult for me to pinpoint as to what is right for that particular location that you're looking at. Okay. And the fact that you, even if you have the money, although most people don't say no to money, most countries they don't mind if people want to invest in their country, but at the same time you have to know the rules. You have to understand. For example, if a Pakistani or a Bangladeshi, with due respect to them, if they want to invest in India, they cannot. But a Nepalese can, a guy from Nepal can, and probably Bhutan can also. Okay, so the laws are different for different countries. So you'll have to get research on your own. I'm sorry on that.
So great. So Daniel, from my side, I can say that the fundamental rules are there. That wherever the economy is growing fast,
Yeah,
government is
yeah, of
stable.
course.
The
You go with your
fundamental rules
gut.
are
A
same.
lot of times we go with your guts and you feel
Yes.
अच्छा चल रहा है सब कुछ. So everything looks fine and you hope it will stay fine.
And one thing I like to always say in real estate, see, you earn the maximum profit if you look to a place where nobody's looking, and if you find your things right. Because generally in a competitive market, you don't get the maximum benefit because players are there. Okay. So basically, I think if you can able to research, as sir said, from your side, and can able to understand certain areas that people are not looking. And if your horizon is 5, 6 years, that might be right place.
Correct.
So
Very, very, very,
thank you,
very
Danny.
rightly said. Very rightly said. That is
Yeah,
because of the fact जो मार्केट ऑलरेडी मेच्योरिटी पे चली गई है तो उसमें आपको ज्यादा बेनिफिट मतलब होगा लेकिन इतना बेनिफिट नहीं शायद नहीं हो पाए ओवर शॉर्ट शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन so you should look for places if your investment is completely based on ROI, so as to say. So you should look at places which are still dormant. अभी उनमें इतना एक्शन नहीं है लेकिन
yeah,
क्योंकि उनमें जो राइज आएगा वो ज्यादा आएगा जो ऑलरेडी एक बहुत ऊंचाई तक पहुंच चुके हैं. If you reached a certain stage, then the rise might come, but it might not be enough.
enough, right? Great. So we have okay. So I think we'll take one or more questions because I think time is running.
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
have the
Go
commitment
go
for
on.
45. Yeah, yeah. So we have asked. Okay. So, sir, one question. Can NRI also become the partner in real estate companies or real estate firms, which not like an asset investment, but can they become partner into investing in a company which is in turn into real estate development or
Yes, yes,
into
yes. It could be subsidiaries. A lot of companies, when they say FDI investment, companies which, for example, in the north it was IREO or Blackstone. American
yeah,
company has JV with Embassy Group or Loza Group or the Trump apartments are coming up and so yes, uh, but you'll have to go and abide by the RBI rules. So, which could vary, for uh, country, for every country. Um, but yes, I mean, like I said, no country wants to refuse money coming in for investment,
oh yes,
especially for
yes, yes, yes.
infrastructure. No company would, I mean, would do that. And then there are also different routes, so as to say. So they can come in terms of funding, so as to say. So they can come through, various funds. There are funds based out of Singapore or Mauritius.
Okay,
Okay, which and if NRI is based in a country where he's not able to invest directly into India. So he can route his money to
okay.
the
From the
Mauritius route.
fund,
Yeah, from the
yes,
funnel of whether it's through the Mauritius route or maybe Singapore route, wherein they'll set up a company, uh, a company in those cities. I mean, the towns, whatever, or I mean, in Mauritius and Singapore, and use it that route to invest in India. So yeah,
it's right.
and those are legal. I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing illegal about it. So but you have to follow the law. That's
Yes, you have to follow the law, right?
you have to follow the law.
So we'll take one or two more questions, guys. Then we have to finish. Sir, we have got one question. Does NRI are taxable for profit earned from the rent in India?
Yes,
This
of
is very
course. You
technical
have to
question.
file taxes. I file both my taxes. I file in India and the US. Okay, but there is a most countries with India have a double taxation policy, so you don't get taxed at two places. So if I'm filing taxes here and if I have rental income and I'm paying tax on it, when I can claim that when I file my US taxes, I can say I've already paid
Okay,
the tax. So yes, you have to.
okay, okay. So you have to pay the tax, but if you have a double tax treaty with the country, then you
You
can
don't have
settle
to
it
pay
up.
twice. Ideally,
Yeah, you don't have to pay the price.
you don't have to pay
Great,
twice.
guys.
But
Any?
normal tax
Yeah,
you have to pay. I mean, that's whatever bracket. Again, it will be the same thing. Whatever bracket you fall under in terms of the tax percentage. 28% tax bracket or whatever, based on your earnings. But I mean, it's pretty good. It's still pretty good
okay,
for Indians.
okay. So, Chinanand, I think you have got your answer. Okay, so I think the session was wonderful. Everybody has asked questions. Any last question somebody like to ask? They can put it. I think we have got more than 7, 8 questions. Okay. So if you guys are there, if you find this session excellent, just put excellent in the chat box, or very happy in the chat box, so that it give encouragement to everyone. Guys, if you're listening me, we are closing the session. Okay, and if you find this session good, uh, something useful, just put your thought processes so that sir can able to look into it. Sir, you can able to see the
Yes,
comments what they're,
I'm seeing
yeah.
it.
And so thank you very much, guys. I think it was amazing session, and we'll keep calling sir for a couple of more sessions very
Absolutely,
soon.
anytime, anytime.
Yeah,
And like I
yeah,
said, there are so many topics which I touched here, which can be
yes.
individual topics by themselves. So I had to,
Individual topic, yes.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
And then
Great,
I
great,
hope there was some
great.
learning there, and I hope people, the audience, the students there were, I was able to share some knowledge, and that's the
Yes,
idea. And what I would
yes,
recommend is,
great.
please, when you go meet other friends who are also in the industry, share that knowledge. Sharing knowledge is important. Okay,
Important. Right.
and this is one thing we Indians lack.
Yes. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And I like to thank you again on behalf of IRF and the students and all the people who are presented there. Thank you very much. I'm taking
Thank
back
you.
the session to you.
Thank
Thank you once again, sir. Thank
you. Take care. Thank
you.
you.
Sir, I'll just give your mail ID to all of
Please
them.
do.
Yeah, just
Please,
hold on. Give me a minute.
please.
Uh, yeah. So I'm giving you sir's mail ID. If anybody want to reach him, please reach him on the mail ID given. I've given the mail ID, dheerajdogra@gmail.com. So
Perfect.
you
Yeah.
can take this mail ID, okay, and connect with him if you like to connect for any purpose, if you are a professional or businessman. So thank you very much, sir, and I'll taking the session back.
All
We'll see
right.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Great. So today we had a very wonderful session, and I hope you have really got some amazing facts, amazing figures from a learned professional and human being. And tomorrow is a special session, very special session for all of you. We have called one of the leading uh, NLP professional success coach for 1 hour interaction with you. So don't mm, forget to join tomorrow's session, tomorrow 7 o'clock. Tomorrow's session will be on Zoom. All the information will be shared so that you have to log into Zoom. Okay. And let me tell you, it can transform your life. It will be so powerful that people have said that. Okay. So tomorrow's session will be totally different. Nothing related to business. This is all about you. We want our people to also get intellectual knowledge to improve themselves. Okay. So tomorrow we'll see you again. Thank you very much for today's session, and it was wonderful hosting you guys. We'll send the link to all the people who attended. You'll get a mail by tomorrow morning. Okay, so don't miss tomorrow's session. It is uh, how to achieve success in life through one of the best coaches, life coaches in India, and he promised me that you will feel very good about it. So please, uh, join that us tomorrow 7 o'clock sharp at Zoom. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.